Okay, let's dive into the sources you shared with us today. We're pulling back the curtain. What are the most persistent mysteries out there? Area 51.
Mm-hmm.
For decades, this patch of desert, it's held its secrets close, and it's sparked this debate that feels almost like straight out of science fiction.
Yeah, absolutely. Is it just a hyper-classified military testing ground?
Or is it hiding something?
Yeah.
Well, far stranger. Maybe something otherworldly.
That really is the core question, isn't it? And your source material, it's actually perfect for exploring this. We've got an interview here that contrasts two perspectives directly.
Right.
There's a UFO researcher making the case for, alien
And
connections,
then,
and then a military historian laying out the official explanations.
okay, so our mission in this deep dive is to really get inside those arguments.
Mm.
We're going to unpack the core claims, the counterclaims, the specific details each side uses straight from the material you provided.
Let's see what key insights we can pull out. It's a fascinating debate.
Definitely. All right, so let's set the stage first. What is Area 51?
Well, interestingly, both perspectives in your source, they actually agree on the basics, the fundamentals.
Yeah, and acknowledging those is important, right? It's a top secret U.S. Air Force facility deep in the Nevada desert.
Officially known as Homey Airport or Groom Lake.
Right, and part of the bigger Nellis Air Force Base complex. And crucially, as both sides point out, it's been wrapped in intense secrecy since the 1950s.
That intense secrecy, that's really the undisputed starting point for everything else that follows.
Exactly.
Absolutely. And sort of building directly on that secrecy, one perspective, the UFO researcher in your source, makes a pretty compelling case for, well, extraterrestrial connections.
Okay, so here's where the mystery really grabs you. The core belief they present is that the base isn't just testing planes.
Hmm.
It's hiding actual evidence of alien life. Maybe recovered UFOs, maybe even alien bodies.
And this whole theory, according to the source, it really got legs after the 1947 Roswell incident.
Oh, Roswell.
The researcher mentions witness claims that debris, and supposedly even non-human bodies from that crash, they were taken to Area 51.
Right, that's the foundational story for many.
And this perspective, it doesn't just stop in the 40s. They point to ongoing strange reports near the base. Sightings of unusual lights, craft doing things that, well, conventional aircraft just can't do.
And you really can't talk about Area 51 and aliens without mentioning Bob Lazar.
Oh, definitely not. He's central.
Your source gets into his controversial 1989 claims. He said he actually worked inside the base.
On reverse engineering alien technology, yeah.
Specifically, he claimed they were studying a propulsion system powered by something called Element 115.
And what's cited as sort of compelling by the researcher here is that element 115 detail.
How so?
They note that this element, which we now officially call moscovium, it wasn't formally synthesized and named until 2003. So the question this side raises is, how could Lazar have known about it or claimed to be working with it in such detail way back in 1989, unless, he was exposed to some kind of advanced, non-human knowledge? They see that as a point backing up his story.
That timing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's presented as a significant puzzle by the researcher.
Mm-hmm.
And speaking of puzzles, this perspective argues that the government's history of just refusing to even admit Area 51 existed.
Right, until the CIA finally declassified documents in 2013.
That itself fuels the alien theory.
Yeah, the argument basically goes, look, if the government could hide the existence of this massive, active military base for decades,
Which they did.
then hiding something as huge as alien contact or tech, that seems well within their proven capability for secrecy.
This side also brings in other examples from the source, like local reports.
Yeah.
From places like Rachel, Nevada, near the base.
Yeah, and these aren't just blurry lights. They describe craft with really bizarre movements like instant acceleration, silent hovering, stuff that seems to defy physics as we know it.
And the research mentions online stuff, too, like X-posts, online communities where people share videos, accounts of weird lights or things over the base.
Yeah.
Suggesting, ongoing mysteries.
They even touch on the Storm Area 51 event from 2019.
Oh, yeah, the meme raid.
Exactly. Now, obviously, it wasn't evidence of aliens, but the researcher in your source uses it as an indicator of just how widespread the public suspicion and fascination is. What could really be back there?
And more recently, you've got whistleblower claims entering the picture.
Right.
The researcher highlights testimony like David Grush's from 2023, talking about alleged government recovery of non-human craft.
And this perspective sees claims like that as more validation that something non-human is being handled secretly at the highest levels.
Which naturally leads to the why. Why all the secrecy if this theory is true?
Your source explores a few possible motivations from this viewpoint. Maybe government control, fear of mass panic if everyone knew.
Or maybe losing power, right? If alien tech could just revolutionize energy travel, it could disrupt everything, even religion.
Absolutely. And then there's a big one, reverse engineering.
Gaining that unparalleled global advantage. Military, technological. Keep it secret, so you're the only one with alien tech.
Yeah, that's presented as a prime motivator. They also bring up Project Blue Book.
The Air Force UFO study back in the day.
Right, from 47 to 69. Not necessarily for its conclusions, which are debated, but as proof the government was taking these phenomena seriously back then, acknowledging something unexplained was happening.
Okay. That's a pretty comprehensive case for the extraterrestrial angle.
Yeah.
Let's turn the page now. Let's look at the other side, the perspective from the military historian in your source. How do they counter all this?
Well, from this viewpoint, Area 51's purpose is entirely terrestrial. Highly sensitive, yes, but human-made.
Just a testing site.
A crucial remote testing site for cutting-edge military projects. Primarily advanced aircraft that needed to be developed and tested in absolute secrecy.
And the historian gives specific examples, right?
Yes, they cite planes like the U-2 spy plane, the SR-71 Blackbird.
Military aircraft.
Yeah, F-117 Nighthawk stealth fighter, the B-2 bomber. I mean, these were revolutionary designs way ahead of their time. Developing them required intense security.
So the secrecy wasn't about aliens. It was about
the Cold War, primarily. According to this side, it was purely pragmatic. Hiding the capabilities of these advanced spy planes and stealth jets from the Soviet Union was vital for national security.
Okay. And what about Roswell, the supposed origin story?
They tackle that head on. The military historian states pretty clearly it wasn't an alien ship.
So what was it?
It was a high-altitude balloon from Project Mogul, a classified experiment back then designed to detect Soviet nuclear tests using sound waves in the upper atmosphere.
And that was declassified.
Yeah, the details came out officially in the 1990s. So from this perspective, that provides the mundane official explanation. Case closed on Roswell.
All right. What about Bob Lazar then? His detailed claims.
They push back hard on Lazar. This side points to what they call a significant lack of verifiable evidence for his story. Issues with his background, his alleged academic credentials, like that MIT degree, they state it just doesn't show up in official records.
Okay, that's a big question mark.
And that very specific Element 115 claim, the historian really focuses on the science there.
Go on.
As we know it now, Element 115, Moscovium, it's incredibly unstable. It decays in milliseconds.
Right, not exactly fuel material.
Precisely. The insight here is that this technical fact directly contradicts Lazar's description of using it for some kind of stable propulsion system. It's presented as a major scientific hole in his technical claims.
Interesting. So what about all the strange lights people see? The weird movements?
The official explanation is, well, simple, though the details remain classified. Test flights.
Of experimental aircraft.
Exactly. Drones, next-gen fighters, stealth jets, things we, the public, wouldn't recognize. And these planes, because of their unique designs, their speed, maybe even special lighting for tests, they can look very unusual, even otherworldly, especially seen at night during secret tests.
Makes sense. And the Storm Area 51 meme.
Yeah, the historian basically dismisses it as just that a viral joke that got out of hand. Funny, maybe, but not evidence of anything hidden there.
What about the social media posts? The videos?
This side argues they often show easily explainable things. Lens flares, distant airplanes, sometimes maybe even edited footage. They contend that social media just isn't a reliable source for such extraordinary claims.
No.
You need more than a shaky video.
So their core point is?
Their stance is clear. The base is extreme secrecy. Yes, it invites speculation. It creates a vacuum that conspiracy theories rush into. But the secrecy itself isn't proof of aliens. It's just proof of necessary military classification.
They also address that comparison people make to the Manhattan Project, right?
Yeah.
Like if thousands worked on the bomb and it leaked, how could Area 51 hide aliens?
Yeah, the historian counters that by saying, well, leaks did happen with the Manhattan Project. Soviet spies knew things. Hiding cutting-edge human tech is hard but possible, they argue. Hiding something as fundamentally world-changing as alien bodies or ships for 70-plus years without any undeniable proof leaking out. That would be exponentially harder, probably impossible.
Okay. And the recent claims, like David Grush.
This perspective acknowledges they're intriguing, sure, but they emphasize the current lack of concrete, verifiable proof. No confirmed photos, no physical wreckage anyone can analyze, no undisputed documents made public. it's still testimony at this stage.
They also point to official government reports that seem to back their view, don't they?
Right, like the 2021 Pentagon UAP report, that's unidentified aerial phenomena.
The one that admitted there were sightings they couldn't explain.
Exactly. It acknowledged 144 sightings pilots couldn't immediately identify. But, crucially, it stated they found zero proof of extraterrestrial origins.
So what did they conclude?
Most were likely optical illusions, weather phenomena, or significantly classified U.S. tech that the observers simply wouldn't recognize.
And Project Blue Book again. The historian's take.
While the researcher cited it as proof of government interest, the historian highlights Blue Book's official conclusions. After investigating thousands of sightings from 47 to 69, the project officially found no evidence of aliens. The vast majority were ruled misidentified conventional objects or natural phenomena.
So the logical argument from this side boiled down to, if aliens were there,
Wouldn't we have something more concrete by now? After all this time, with all the people potentially involved, verifiable leaks, photos, actual hardware, whistleblowers with undeniable proof, not just stories or fuzzy footage. Ultimately, this side presents what they see as the more straightforward, logical explanation. Area 51 tests advanced, secret human tech. The alien story is what naturally fills the gap left by secrecy and the lack of public information. Occam's razor, perhaps.
Okay, so bringing this back to you, the listener, and the sources you shared with us, what do we actually learn from putting these two very different perspectives side by side like this?
Well, what's really insightful, I think, is seeing how both narratives fundamentally depend on interpreting ambiguity. The same pieces of limited or contested information.
Like Roswell, Lazar's claims, the lights.
Exactly. They're seized upon by both sides and interpreted in completely opposing ways.
For one side, it's proof of hidden alien secrets.
Yeah.
For the other, it's proof of misidentification, maybe fabrication, or just classified human technology doing its thing.
Yeah, the core insight maybe isn't about figuring out which side is definitively right, because that truly definitive, publicly accepted proof is, well, lacking.
Right.
It's more about how these foundational mysteries, these gaps in knowledge, become the bedrock for two entirely different ways of understanding the world, or at least that patch of desert.
This deep dive really reveals the debate isn't just about evidence, is it? Because the evidence itself is so debated, it seems to be also about trust.
Absolutely. Who do you trust more? Do you trust official government statements and mainstream scientific explanations? Or do you put more weight on eyewitness accounts, whistleblower testimonies, even if they lack that hard proof?
And how you answer that, how you place that trust, it seems to fundamentally shape what you're willing to believe about what's really going on out there in Nevada.
It really does.
So we've unpacked the main arguments, the specific details presented in the sources you provided. We've laid out the narrative of hidden alien secrets, fueled by decades of secrecy and strange reports.
And contrasted it with the explanation of a highly classified military testing ground responsible for developing advanced tech, which in turn causes these mysterious sightings.
We aim to give you the key information from both sides, straight from the material.
So maybe a final thought to leave you with. Given everything we've talked about, the enduring human curiosity about the unknown, the proven capacity for government secrecy, how do you navigate that space, that gap between compelling personal stories and documented official explanations? What kind of evidence, really, would it take to convince you one way or the other?